Raw on Netflix predictions. Before we get into the matches themselves, let's talk about a man that you mentioned earlier. John Cena is kicking off his retirement tour next Monday. The only mention of this that they've made is in commercials. I don't think I heard the commentators talk about it once. They said he will be there. The retirement tour starts next week. I thought he would wrestle on the show, but with the amount of matches they're already advertising, I get why they wouldn't want him to wrestle. I mean, he might have an impromptu match. I don't know. I'm going to go the safe route and says that he just comes out and announces himself for the Royal Rumble, but I feel like that's fucking lame. Like, I want him out there kicking off a feud, announcing a match for Raw the next week. I mean, that's a great incentive to watch. I mean, listen, the finals of the Women's IC title tournament are great, but like, if you have Cena out there and he announces himself for the Rumble, but also someone interrupts him, I mean, I say it like a Chad Gable, but like someone like, obviously Cena's not fucking losing to Chad Gable, but first of all, it'd be a good match. Second of all, it announces a big attraction for Raw the following week on Netflix. If they really want to make this Netflix deal a big deal, they got to do stuff like that. So what do you see John Cena having in store for Raw on Netflix next week?
I think he'll definitely announce he's in the Royal Rumble. I think that, but like I said, hopefully there is some kind of tie-in for another show, like so maybe like someone like Kaiser or something like an underneath heel that like he could have a good match with and kind of like play off the Rumble with and kind of lead it that way. So I think definitely he'll announce he's in the Rumble, but definitely some more substance to kind of like you said push a match either that week, next week, or a couple weeks down the line. But definitely something like, oh, you're gonna be in the Rumble, you haven't wrestled in X amount of time. Okay, we'll have a match next week to tune me up. I don't know, something like that. So definitely should have a match before the Rumble, but I think the main things they announced that he's going to be in the Rumble.
Well, going back to what we talked about last week as far as what Gunther does at WrestleMania, I could absolutely see a segment next week where they plant the seeds for Cena and Gunther at Mania. Maybe Kaiser gets involved and we get Cena and Kaiser on Raw next week, or it's Saturday night's main event, and that's Cena's first official match on the tour. And then, they could plant the seeds for Cena winning the Rumble, question mark, and facing Gunther at Mania. Again, I know we talked about it a little bit last week, but thoughts on that? I mean, I could totally see that being a direction that they go in.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Oh God, I'm about to die over here. Maybe run him and Solo back. He had the last person Solo beat. John Cena lost. It was Solo Sikoa. So
yep.
Maybe run that. Maybe get a little tease there. But like I said, I think maybe get a Gunther, John Cena tease, and then he's like, "Oh, you can't even beat my guy." And then they said you set up him and Kaiser somewhere between Rumble and now, and Cena beats him and we move on. But I think there'd still be a pretty good match.
Yeah, no. I mean, I said this on hashtag on Wednesday, but I could see a scenario where Cena does win the Rumble. We'll talk about it more a little bit later on, and obviously as it gets closer in the coming month. But I could totally see Cena winning the Rumble, if only because it sets up him and Gunther. But if they really want to paint this picture that he is the greatest of all time, which is what they've called him for a few years now, no one has won more Rumbles than Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he's never going to break that record unless he comes out of retirement. John Cena, that is. But he could tie the record at least by winning a third Rumble later on this year for the first time since 2013. So, not something I want to particularly see, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So yeah, I could totally see that being what Cena does on Raw on Monday. You mentioned Solo Sikoa. He's wrestling on Raw against Roman Reigns in a tribal combat match. Roman's first match on Raw, we talked about it a few weeks ago. I think since the summer of 2022, he had a random match on Raw with the Usos against Matt Riddle, who doesn't even work there anymore, and the Street Profits in a six-man tag team match. I think it was the first Raw that Vince was not there for after he got initially retired or booted or ousted or whatever back in July of 2022. So first Roman Raw match in a while. Honestly, I think this is an easy match to predict. Oh yeah, Roman wins, LOL. But I could see Solo winning. I mean, Drew is still after all the Bloodline guys, all the OG Bloodline guys. Whether Drew attacks Roman or attacks both guys, I mean, I think a non-finish would be fucking lame. It would be weird for Roman to lose here and then for him to continue to call himself the OTC. I mean, the feud is over after this, I would hope. I would hope we don't get more matches between these two, the exact opposite of Punk and Rollins. I don't need more matches with Roman and Solo, but I really don't have a decisive finish here. I'm going to say Roman wins, but I'm not overly confident in that pick. What do you think, Mr. Marceau? Who goes over here between Roman and Solo, Tribal Combat?
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think Roman should win. I'll go with Roman anyways. I think they just need to end him. A non-finish would be dumb. I know Drew's kind of going all the Bloodline guys. He is facing Jay on that show. would be kind of dumb if he beat Jay, then screwed Roman over. I mean, Solo also cost him the belt too, so he has beef with all three of them. So we'll see, but I think Roman should win. Kind of put him and Solo to bed, and we can get him and Jacob going forward.
Yeah, I hope so. Do you think Roman and Jacob, is that your predicted match as of right now for WrestleMania with involving these guys?
That's what I want to see. I mean, I think as of right now, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I fucking hope so. I completely agree. Nick had also asked any thoughts on Cena having a little spat with Waller. In theory, maybe Cena having some sort of a play in the split. I hope so. Listen, whatever hurries up this split with A-Town Down Under, I'm fucking all for. It's been going on forever. But yeah, actually, it's not a bad idea. Could you see Cena and Theory maybe having a match, and Cena gets his win back from 2 years ago, and he comes out and he buries him again and says, "Hey, listen, you beat me, but you did absolutely nothing with it." And maybe that's how we get back to Cena and Theory one more time.
No, thank you. Might as well just contract.
You're still holding out.
Finally put them over, and maybe.
Okay.
Besides that, no, thank you.
You don't want any scenario where Theory just gets fucking buried again, right?
No, thank you. I mean, I'm sure he's still employed after what Cena did to him last time. So.
Oh, man. Do you still have any dirt on you from that burial that you were there for when that promo happened in Boston a couple years ago? I talked about it earlier, but that shit was just fucking terrible.
It's one of the most mad I've been at a show in a while.
I'm still mad about it. It's been 2 years and I'm still mad about it. And he won.
I'm still beating Bray Wyatt. Still not on. What did he do?
Yeah.
Like, basically saying, even if you beat me, you're a loser. That could happen. So dumb.
The best part is they took that out of the video package. You go back and watch the video package, that line isn't in there. They took that out of the video package. John Cena is not a god. I think we can acknowledge when he does stuff wrong, and that was pretty fucking stupid. I can't imagine there was not. It's because people did not like Theory as it was, and I get it. I understand the reasons why, but you got to call a spade here. That was a pretty damning line, and he's like, "Oh, even if you beat me, these people will still not care about you." Well, thanks a lot, John. That's a rousing endorsement. What a dumb fucking thing to say. Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso also on the first Raw on Netflix. They just added this on Monday night. Drew's going through the OG bloodline. I said that before. I feel like this is an easy win for Drew. I don't think Jay's ever beaten him. I don't think that changes here, at least one-on-one. Who do you got going over, Mr. Marceau, Drew or Jay?
Drew, I mean, they're kind of like going through the OG bloodline. I just don't like the way they're making OG bloodline look. Like, you make Sammy, now Jay, look like just a loser. Like, he kicked his ass on Raw, beat Sammy's ass at every turn. Gonna probably beat Jay here again, so it's another loss for Jay. I don't know. I get what they're trying to go for, but you're making Sammy and him look really weak. Or like two of the top over baby faces that just get crushed by Drew. So don't love what they're doing with them right now because I just feel like they look like idiots. But I think Drew's gonna beat them.
I'm kind of worried that Jay doesn't have a single direction for WrestleMania. I mean, I'm not really sure what more you do with him, honestly, unless he just reunites with Jimmy again.
Yeah, or like maybe they would do him in Solo. I don't really need it. Honestly, they should do him and Jimmy again, rematch.
Oh my God!
And Yeet again.
Oh God! Absolutely.
Can't be any worse than the last match they had.
That is a 1,000% fact. It can't be much worse or more underwhelming than their last fucking super kick fest that they had at WrestleMania 40, which was just ass. That was the most mid-match I've seen at Mania in some time. Aside, you know what? Most mid-match I've seen at Mania since Theory and Cena at WrestleMania 39. Also on Raw, Netflix, Liv Morgan defends the Women's World Championship. Please let this be the end. They talked about it in the video package on Monday. Oh yeah, this is it. This is it. Fucking better be. Against Rhea Ripley, last woman standing. Love the stipulation. These two women work well together. I do think this will be a good match. Rhea's got to win here, right? I mean, please. I mean, I could see Liv winning and then Becky coming out, but it's like, I like Liv. It's nothing against Liv. She had a great year. She had probably the best year of any other female in 2024. But it's time to move on. I'm not saying Rhea's reign would be that much better as far as matches go, and I mean, Rhea would have better matches, I think. But like Rhea's last run as champion that lasted a year wasn't exactly the greatest of all time. But I do think Rhea gets the belt back here. What say you, Mr. Marceau?
Yeah, this is a tough one. Like you said, I think nothing to live, but like I just think Rhea's the bigger star, so I feel like she should eventually get the belt back. Like I said, run her and Becky back again if needed, if that's the direction they're going. And hey, maybe her and Charlotte again. Who knows? But I just think Rhea is the bigger star. I like Liv, but I think you put the belt back on Rhea, and then going into Mania, you have, like I said, either Becky and her, or Charlotte and Rhea. I feel like you can have more big money matches with Rhea as the champion than over Liv, unfortunately.
Yeah, whether it's with Becky or, I mean, really anyone else. I think
Anyone, Charlotte,
yeah.
Bianca. I mean,
Oh
any
yeah.
one of them, you can have a better match with Rhea than Liv.
You know, Bianca's probably facing Jade or Naomi or whatever at WrestleMania. I've seen a lot of people say that Rhea could face Bianca. Maybe Bianca wins the Women's Rumble and faces Rhea at Mania. Because I know they teased it a couple of years ago and they didn't go through with it, which I was fine with because the direction they went in with instead was fine with Rhea and Becky and whatever. But that's, a match to keep an eye out for as a potential possibility for WrestleMania. I don't think we get it, but I think it's a possibility for some point.
Yeah, I mean, I think depending on what they do with the whole Jade, Naomi, Bianca thing. I mean, if they, I guess that's just the way they go, because I assuming we'll probably get Jade and Bianca at some point. But I mean, depending on how everything turns out, maybe she goes heel and we get her and Rhea at SummerSlam. I don't know. There's ways to get there, but I do think a Rhea Bianca match would be great.
Yeah, I agree. I think that at some point, whenever we get it, it's going to be very good. Now we get to what they are calling the main event. I fucking hope it's the main event with Seth Rollins and CM Punk. Now, they had a closed Raw on Monday. They're calling it the main event. I mean, do not have Roman and Solo go on last. There's just no reason for that. I mean, that match should be fine, but it should not be on last. Rollins and Punk is the rightful main event. We've talked a lot about this lately. Is it a one and done? Are they making the right call here? You know what? Honestly, I think they are. Because if they didn't have a match here, then all the interactions they've had lately, I guess you could have held off on those. But you would have had to drag this out for even longer. And I do think, I don't believe the bullshit about, oh, Punk and Roman at WrestleMania, blah, blah, blah. I think that there's a chance of that, but I think that's all just smoke and mirrors. I think it's just bullshit just
I
to
think it's all
redirect.
malarkey. I don't think it's real.
I agree. Yeah, I think we will get it. I don't think we get it this year at Mania, but I think Rollins and Punk is the end game. I'm not going to say who's going to win, though. I'm going to throw that to you first, Mr. Marceau. Who wins, Punk or Rollins on Raw and Netflix?
Kid literally set me up for it. This is a tough one. Like I said, if it's a series, I feel like Rollins will cheat and win to keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say Rollins wins. I feel like Rollins hasn't really had a big win in a while. I think Punk can afford to lose the first one. So I'm going to go with Rollins.
All right. I'm going to say Rollins wins here, too. Now, the question is, does he win and then immediately goes to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship at the Royal Rumble that people have said? And honestly, I don't really think that's a bad idea. I could totally see Rollins and Gunther at the Rumble. I'm going to go, I'm going to say Punk wins this first match. Rollins gets even more fucking pissed. And Punk goes on to win the title. And then I could see Rollins facing him at WrestleMania. What do you say to that?
I'm still sticking with Rollins.
Okay, but do you think Rollins?
You almost got me. You almost turned me, but I'm sticking with Rollins.